I would like to thank you guys for coming. It means a lot to me to talk today. For those of you that don't know, this is my 1-year anniversary of being diagnosed. And it was a very random selection that we talked about the day, and one day didn't work, and we just kind of thought, oh, we'll do the 25th, and it wasn't until I went into my calendar that I was like, I mean, I get the chills. It was the day I was supposed to talk, because I was telling you guys that I had to go back through the year to write this, and I had to piece back together everything that got me to this point. So for those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you my story, and then I'm going to share with you the pieces of inspiration that empowered me and strengthened me. A few disclaimers. I'm not a doctor. I've read many medical books and medical journals and blogs, and I am reading everything I can about cancer and all kinds of therapy. The decision for your therapy is extremely personal. I don't think it fits in one small box. So in what I'm saying, this is my personal journey, and these are the things that help me, and if there's something that you can take from it that can help you, I'm so happy that I was able to offer it. But I'm in no way telling you what to do. I know that a lot of us, when we're diagnosed with cancer, we have a lot of people that tell us what we have to do. And it gets really overwhelming when you feel the battle inside of, this isn't lining up, but you went to medical school and I didn't, and you have a white coat and I don't, and you're my family and you care for me and you're worried and you want me to do this, and you start to get clouded with all that's coming at you. And so the intuition quiets down and you don't know what's happening. So let this just be a very humble and loving opening of my story. And if there's something you like, take it. And if there's something you can't remember at the end, I can email it to you, or you can ask me questions. I'm going to open up for questions after this. So first, I want to tell my story. I had just turned 31 and was 5.5 months pregnant with my second baby. And I had a little 1-year-old, and I found a lump. And pregnant, nursing, it's obvious that my hormones are going crazy, and so finding a lump isn't that big of a deal. And I went to my midwife, and she said, I'm sure it's nothing. You know, you're trying to wean your daughter off nursing, you're pregnant, a lot's going on. You know, we'll just get it checked out to be safe. And I went to the doctor, and he did an ultrasound, and he's like, I'm thinking it's not anything. Why don't you come back for a biopsy? And in my mind, I just thought, no, I'm good. I'm sure it's not. So, you know, and I didn't know that they send you a certified letter in the mail saying, we told you to come back for a biopsy. You need to come back for a biopsy. So I was like, okay, so I'll do the biopsy, just peace of mind. And the doctor that did it, he goes, you know, it's pretty suspicious looking. So he's like, I'm going to push the test. And of course, I immediately go home and Google suspicious looking and irregular borders, and it's possible to have irregular borders without cancer. And your mind goes crazy. You hear that word cancer and you just think, not me. Like, I'm not the 1 in 8 that gets cancer. Like, I don't know how to process this. And so they called me the next day, and it was a year from today, and he said, yeah, you've got stage 2 breast cancer. So, you know, they go into immediately, here's what we're going to do, here's who you need to call, here's the pieces that you need to have in place. And you don't even get to breathe. You don't even get a moment to process what's happening. And so within a week, I went through tests and scans and blood work, and it went so fast that I was just from here to there, and you don't want to think. At this point, you're just like, I'm so overwhelmed. Someone's telling me to do something awesome. I'm there. I'll do it. I'll just sign it over, because I don't want to process cancer and death and the fear, and it becomes too big for you. So in a week, I was diagnosed. The doctor decided chemo was safer. In the 3rd trimester, your body protects the baby. The placenta doesn't let any chemo get through. So they said, you know, chemo's safer, so we're going to save surgery for the end, and you're going to do 4 rounds of chemo pregnant, you'll have your baby, 4 more rounds of chemo, you'll get surgery, whatever we think is best, radiation, and if you decide on a lumpectomy, and then 5 years of hormone therapy. And that was kind of it. That was my little box of what I needed to do. So I thought, okay, it'll just be a big year. And I got a port put in, and within a week, 7 days, I started my first round of chemo. And I did 4 rounds of chemo, and it was fine. My body, this was my first inclination that my body was stronger than I was giving it credit for. I did 4 rounds of chemo, pregnant, and I was a little tired, and I lost my hair, but other than that, the usual side effects weren't coming up, and I just thought, oh, okay, like, I got this, like, you know, strong body, and I felt very good about my decision. I mentally backed what I was doing. And I went into labor on October 29th with my daughter, Ruby, and I was given the gift of having the birth that I wanted. I did a completely natural birth in a birthing center with my midwife. And I was a little worried because as well as I was doing, I knew that chemo was really taxing on my body. And I wasn't sure how it would function in something like giving birth. And it was beautiful. The labor was great. Ruby came out so healthy, and it was a very joyful moment. It was my second little inclination that your body's pretty strong. So I was given a month to recuperate, and it was wonderful. We had our family, and we just counted our blessings, and I felt good, and I was healing so well that the doctor said, oh, well, you know, after 4 weeks, let's do your second round. Let's do your second 4. And so I went in, done. Like, let's do this. I don't know what it was. It could have been that I wasn't pregnant, and so I didn't have the excuse of, this is too much, I've got a baby, I need to focus on growing a healthy baby. But I went in for chemo, and the side effects were horrible. I didn't throw up, or it wasn't as extreme as some people have, and my heart goes out to anyone that's dealt with that. But I was extremely nauseous for 5 days. I became really depressed. I wasn't digesting food very well. I wasn't sleeping well. I was getting a lot of really weird heart palpitations, and it just wasn't sitting the way it was before. It was very easy before to accept, oh, what I'm doing is fine for my body, this is what it needs, and now I was starting to have this internal struggle. So I went to my doctor, and I said, listen, like, I'm having these side effects, and she said, yeah, no, these are all common, that's why you get so many echocardiograms, that's why we really monitor your liver, because it gets hit so hard. We want to make sure your body can, you know, keep up with it. And I'm thinking, this is okay, this is normal. Like, am I trading my breast cancer for heart failure? Am I trading my breast cancer for something else? And she didn't have a lot of answers. It was just kind of a, you know what, don't worry about it. It's going to be fine. You're doing great. The tumor is doing excellent. It's shrinking down. It's responding perfectly. You're an ideal candidate for this. And I thought, okay, like, you know, I'll do another round. And I did another round. And I got so depressed. And I'm able to hide it well, but I got so depressed that I didn't care that I was depressed. I didn't care that I couldn't be a mom. I couldn't be a wife. I couldn't be a sister. I couldn't be a daughter. I couldn't be anything, and I was so depressed that I would just look at it like, yeah, can't do it. And intellectually, that worried me. Intellectually, I thought, okay, there's a huge piece that's wrong with not caring. So I just started some general research of, okay, you know, what is out there? I Googled crazy things, and there's crazy things out there. There's all kinds of therapy that people can do. And it got really overwhelming because you don't get the peace of mind that a doctor says, don't worry, like, I'm backing you, I've got this team backing you. You start on this path, and it's like, especially when you don't want to include people, you know, I started to tell a couple of people, and the fear behind, what are you doing? Like, no, like, you're fine, you're doing good, you're on the path. Why in the world would you veer out? So I just kind of kept to myself. I did the research. I looked through medical journals. I looked through books. I, you know, talked to the few people that I knew that had dabbled in alternative medicine and had done a couple things here and there. And once you scrape the top layer, you find a lot of information. It's there for people if they want, and a lot of times people don't want it. Going through cancer is big enough. Why would you want to add this heaviness of having to take your life back into your own hands. You've given it to someone that you trust, and it just kind of feels easy and safe. And I realized with the information I was finding that I could no longer turn a blind eye. And I remember the day I had read some statistics, and they couldn't be right. I went back and I looked up something else, and they were there again. And I just thought, there's no way that this is possible. And I kept looking, and from legitimate sources of doctors I trust and medical journals, they were all coming up, yeah, these are statistics for someone that's following just conventional therapy. And that's when I knew, my intuition said, you don't buy it anymore. If you're looking this hard for something else, you're not buying what you're doing. And I started to write statistics down and reasons for why I had decided to stop conventional therapy, because in that moment I heard, if you don't back it, it's not going to work. You mentally, whatever your therapy is, and I would never tell anyone to do conventional, alternative, it's a personal decision, but whatever it is you're doing, you've got to mentally back it or it's not going to work. And so I wrote all my reasons down. And I canceled my next chemo, and my doctor called, and she was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, you know, I've been doing a lot of research, and I wanted to just talk to you. By the way, this woman she was lovely, the kindest, warmest, most sincere individual that really nurtured me and my family. And so I said, I'd love to come and meet with you. I would love your backing, but I've decided to do alternative therapy, and I would love to just kind of talk with you. And she said, okay, well, why don't you come in? And we met, my husband and I met with her, and she said, well, give me your reasons. And so I said, this isn't to change your mind, but I want you to know I've done a lot of research. This is not just a whim decision. I have all the research I've done right here for you, statistics, all medical journal based, no one's opinion or anything like that. And I want you to have this so you know that this was a decision that I thought a lot about and researched. And I gave her all my reasons. Intuitively, I could feel it in my body. My body was shutting down. I was too depressed. Pieces weren't fitting into the quality of life that I wanted. And after she heard me, she took the papers and she put them aside. I naively thought that she might read them and say, oh, I didn't even know this. And I might change her mind and she become an alternative therapist. She said, okay, she goes, and the reason I tell you this, I don't give this any energy or power, but if anyone ever decides to incorporate some alternative therapy into what they're doing, there's some sort of mechanism in a lot of doctors' minds that don't accept anything outside of their little box. So I tell you this only because I want you to know, in case someone ever says it to you, that it's what a lot of doctors have said. And in people that I've talked to, a lot of doctors say this not because they're malicious, but because they're scared for you. You've taken all the tools out of their box. And my doctor said, I hope I'm wrong, but your cancer's not going to go away and you're going to die. And it was a toxic shockwave in the room because, of course, I know death is a possibility. I mean, I don't like to talk about it all the time, but I mean, I know that that's there, and as human beings, we're all going to die at some point, so I don't really need someone to tell me when I'm going to die. And my reaction was too shocked, I guess, to register, and she goes, you've got to deal with the fact that you're a young mom with young girls, and you've got to do what's best for them. What I wish in hindsight, I really do think it would have made me feel so good, is to sweep something aside in anger and rush out. But she was such a nice, warm woman, and it was so puzzling that I expected her to be like, okay, let's see how we can work it in. I was floored that she was using my girls as a guilt trip to tie me back into conventional therapy. I wasn't sure. And we walked out, and it took me a couple days. I was so shocked. It took me a couple days to get angry, and I realized no one gets to tell any of us when we're going to die. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to in going through this that say, my doctor gave me a month. Like, my doctor said my cancer is incurable. It's not going away. My doctor said I'm stage 4. It's gone all over my body. There's so many stories where the doctors say, this is it, and you have two options. You believe them or you don't. And I truly believe that everyone gets to decide that. No doctor there's small amount of knowledge on the general human body can tell you in your unique body how anything is going to translate. So I should have gotten angry, but I didn't, and I just decided, okay, well, I need a doctor that supports me. So I had a nutritionist that I really loved, and she recommended a naturopathic doctor who had a ton of credentials, tons of letters after her name, and I thought, okay, that's good. Like, I trust her. I want everyone to remember who you are before you walk into any office, no matter what the title. Because I walked in with complete faith. She's a naturopathic doctor. I'm good. I don't even have to think. Now I have my person that I don't have to think, and she'll take care of me. And we walked in, and I'm so thankful that my husband was there, because he caught a big piece that I missed because I trusted her so willingly. We sat down and she asked some questions, and she said, okay, well, I strongly urge you to be monitored by an oncologist. You know, I'm not an oncologist. I can do the backup, I can do the other pieces, but you need to be monitored by an oncologist. And I work with this doctor. I won't mention names. And she goes, you know, so we'll work together and it'll be a nice fit. And I said, okay, well, you know what you're talking about. You know, he's obviously in line with naturopathic, holistic, alternative. And she goes, well, not at all. He's completely conventional, but what he's going to do is he's going to give you the statistics of your survival rate if you stop conventional therapy. And I said, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. And I felt my husband go, what? Like, this is the one thing, like, no, we don't, what we want to know is how we're going to heal your body. Like, don't give me a statistic on people that follow a standard American diet and people that, are following different protocols with all different body types. Don't give me that number. Like, tell me how I can work with my body and what I've got inside me. And my husband had to leave. We had Ruby with us. We couldn't find a babysitter, and so he left. And I sat there for another 45 minutes while I zoned most of it out because I really didn't need to register much of what she was saying. She had the word naturopathic doctor on her title, and I don't even want to guess as to what she was thinking when she told me to go to a conventional doctor that would tell me my statistics on survival. It just seemed bizarre to me. And I walked out to the car, and my husband goes, did you catch the other piece? And I'm like, no. And he goes, she also used our girls as guilt. You've got young girls. You've got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself and doing what's right. And I'm like, well, no, I mean, I get, you know, and I started defending her, and he calmly, because he's been married to me long enough, he was like, all right, well, let's just think about it. Let's just kind of pull this one over. And then again, I was like, of course, like, always take, including me, take everyone's opinion out, take everyone's voice out, and when you hone in on you, what are you saying? And then, once you really have that, and you hold on to that so tight, then you bring in someone you trust, and then you bring in someone else you trust, and then you start to build the group of people like, okay, well, I'm holding on to this. Do you believe this? You don't? Okay, well, then I'll look somewhere else. And you hold on to it, because a lot of times we think we're in someone's hands that we can trust, and we need to be smarter, and we need to look at it differently. So, long story long, I finally found a doctor that he was spot on. It's a clinic in Oregon, Ashland, Oregon, called the Mederi Foundation. And in talking to him, he's a naturopathic doctor. So I said, well, I don't care about that. Tell me more. And he started to go into how the body works and how cancer works. And he said something that I will never forget. He was like, cancer is a very small part of this. You realize that this is a whole life and a whole body shift. What we need to look at is the whole picture. Cancer is actually really small. It's just your red flag saying, nope, something's wrong. Like, let's figure out what it is. He's like, your body, the capacity to heal, all of your cells, all they want to do is live. So what's happening, he started to break down the psychology of it and the chemistry of it, and his knowledge was astounding. I would have bought it hook, line, and sinker because it sounded so good. But my mom was on the conference call, who has researched breast cancer more than any human being I've ever known. She is extremely knowledgeable, and she was enthralled with him. She just listened to this and said, yep, I've read that. Yep, I read that. Yep, that makes sense. And after a 3-hour phone consultation, she, who I strongly respect her opinion, she was like, personally, I do not think you could be in better hands. And my decision to go alternative was not initially her cup of tea. She was not thrilled. It's her daughter. She wants what's best for me. She hadn't yet researched much of alternative therapy, but she got right on it and started researching everything, and then she was just like, yeah, everything he says makes so much sense. And everything he said just hit me like, yep, yeah, like it all just kept syncing together. So I started with them, and I did blood work May 1st, and I had 0 breast cancer, circulating cells. All my tumor markers were excellent. My imaging was negative. Everything came back great. And he was thrilled, and he goes, but let's just remember, this is still a really small piece. You know, we're watching the stickiness of your blood and how your thyroid is working and how are you emotionally. And, you know, he breaks down things where he's like, these are your red flags before your big red flag. And I'm like, yeah, like that makes sense. You don't wait for the cancer and then say, oh, now we have to fix it. You start to listen and you start to intuitively feel out your body. So what I'm going to do, in researching all of this, there's so much out there, and what I wanted to do is just break down. I ended up coming up with my personal 12 steps that I took to get to the place that I am right now. So I'm going to read you the steps, and then I'm going to go into each one. The 12 steps are putting cancer in its place, researching my ass off, finding the right doctor, eating the best of the best, finding my exercise goddess, spiffing up my soul, working out the skeletons in the closet, finding my groupies, meditate on meditation, what do you believe, do it daily, self-love above all else. So, putting cancer in its place. I imagine everyone in this room has either been diagnosed with cancer, knows someone, a loved one or a family or someone that has been diagnosed with cancer, or you would like to prevent cancer in your life. I think that pretty much covers everyone in this room. The one thing that happens when you're diagnosed with cancer is you're terrified. It overwhelms you. This cancer, the way the doctors talk about it, it's this enemy that has infiltrated your body. And it's a war on cancer. I mean, the word war is a really brutal, intense word where you're just like, okay, it's a battle. Like, this is a big thing. This is scary. It could get me, but I want to get it first. It becomes this thing in your body. And for me, I felt like an enemy had infiltrated my body in the middle of the night. And now there was this foreign enemy inside of me that I needed to get. And there's a lot of fear behind that thought. There's a lot of fear thinking there's something uncontrollable in you, and your only hope is to go to these doctors and and we all know that chemo is poison, and we know what these things are, and we're just like, well, that's our only hope though. So putting cancer in its place, I started to read science behind cancer. For me personally, and a lot of alternative doctors, cancer is not a disease. Cancer is a symptom telling you something's off in your body. So it broke it down of like, okay, so it's not as big as I thought. It's gone down to it being symptoms. And then I started to research, and I realized that it's all part of my body. The cancer is still you. The cancer are cells that have forgotten how to communicate. And what's happened over time, because it's normally 5 to 10 years that this has been growing, is you've left a window open somewhere. I could not even tell you all the reasons people get cancer. I have no clue. I just know for me that quite a few of them are based on certain things that I'm going to go into. But when you realize, okay, it's not so scary. This is my body. This is all part of me. I just need to lovingly balance things back out. I need to figure out the root, because cancer isn't the root. Cancer is something telling you it's wrong, but then you've got to go under, and you have to, through self-realization, you've got to figure out, okay, where am I letting this in? And it's not our fault. It's a lot of subconscious pieces that we don't realize add up to cancer having a breeding ground. So that was my first step, is knowing that cancer is not scary, it's not fearful. It's something that is very manageable, that you can work with in your life. My second step is researching my ass off. This one is crucial. When I decided to go alternative, there was an uproar. Because I had been blogging just about my journey, and I had to announce it to the people that read my blog, and it got published on Stu News, and a lot of people were horrified because what we hear in media is if you have cancer, you have to do conventional therapy. If you have cancer, this is the path you take. So what I did is I gained a lot of knowledge. I read a lot of books. I read a lot of medical journals. I honed in on everything I could so that when people came to me and said, yeah, well, what about this? I would say, okay, well, actually, I just read something about that. And I started to give pieces that I had grasped from all of this. I want to share with you a couple of the pieces that turned my mind to looking at alternative therapy options. It's not fear-based at all. None of this is meant to alarm you or scare you. What I want for all of you, cancer or not cancer, is to have the knowledge and to know some of what's happening, because a lot of the statistics are smoke and mirrors. And when you scrape off that level, you realize that conventional therapy isn't pulling its weight. So I want to read a couple statistics that really twisted me into, okay, well, if this isn't the answer, what can I grasp? What can I piece together to make something that makes sense to me? I found a really cool quote because I started to get really bitter at my doctor. So I found a cool quote that kind of envelops where the doctors are at. Most doctors are dedicated, overworked, even heroic champions of the restoration of their patients' health. Unfortunately for you, they are products of a medical system that is closed to innovation in a very important way. The medical dogma on cancer is that cancer is a foreign enemy in the body that must be attacked with surgery, chemotherapy, radiation, and hormone therapy. However, this method hasn't improved the dismal rate of success in the last 50 years. There was research done in 1985 about chemotherapy success. And in 1985, the success rate was 3% for people that chemo worked for. That was a while ago, and so I looked for something a little more current. In 2005, another study was done, and the chemo helped 2.1% of the patients. So in the last 50 years, and the trillions of dollars that we're putting into cancer care and curing cancer, we've actually gone down in success rate of what's happening. So obviously, conventional therapy is missing a piece. I am in no way saying not to do conventional therapy. I myself have done it. In reading these statistics, it didn't alarm me that I had done it, because we've done what we've done, and we are at this place right now because of what we've done. So by all means, chemo could have done what it needed to do for those 6 rounds. But in reading 2.1%, that told me, okay, there's a piece missing. That there's no way that this 2.1% is the answer. I was alarmed also to find that when oncologists were asked in a private study, that 75% of them said they would absolutely not do chemotherapy if they were diagnosed, nor would they suggest it to their friends or family. So there's a piece missing. It became a business. It became doctors either just unaware, you start to look at the chain of people, and I won't go into it because there's no point in giving it any energy, but the medical students are entrusting their knowledge to the teachers, and these teachers are entrusting their knowledge to who's supplying their information. And unfortunately, what you see is a lot of the curriculum is coming from pharmaceutical companies. And that's where it gets a little bit ugly, because the pharmaceutical companies don't seem to have much of a conscience with the numbers and the facts, because for my chemo, it was $12,000 around. And the numbers astound me in where the money is, and it is what it is. It's a business, but I think people should be informed of, okay, well, if money's at the end of this, let me research other ways, because you haven't heard of a lot of alternative therapy. There's no money in it. No one's getting money off of flaxseed. No one's getting money off of vitamin C. No one's getting money off of an alkaline diet. You know, these are the things where we start to take responsibility of, this is my body. I was given this body. I can be responsible. So researching is essential, because you will start to read things that line up for you, that just click of like, yes, I believe that. And you just start writing them down, and you come up with your armor, you know, for the people that will doubt, the people that love you but are worried. A saying that I liked in thinking that in the last 50 years we keep doing the same conventional therapy, one definition of insanity is repeating a process over and over again, anticipating a different outcome. I think we have to look outside the box. Obviously, just conventional therapy isn't cutting it. I think incorporating into conventional therapy, that's what you back mentally, by all means. But let's incorporate some other pieces to really make it a well-rounded therapy. A lot of the tests that are done with those chemicals are on lab rats. And each one of us is a human being, a real person in real life that has pieces that a lab rat does not have. So it makes sense that the numbers would add up for a mouse and not for us. I have a couple books, and I can email people if they want. They are kind of my research Bibles. There's a lot of books out there, a lot of numbers, a lot of statistics, and it gets overwhelming. So I have 4 books that have done it for me. They are easy to read. They talk about what I need to hear. They're uplifting. The first one is Cancer Free, Your Guide to Gentle, Non-Toxic Healing by Bill Henderson. This book is grows some thick skin when it talks about conventional therapy, because he really lays into it. But he gives a beautiful plan that any of us can use that's really cost effective of healing your body and then preventing cancer. And it's really matter of fact. It's science behind all of it. They've done a lot of research. It's a really great book. And he's just very nurturing and protective of you in the book, which I really like. The second one is Chris Carr's Sexy Crazy Cancer Survivor Tips. She, if anyone hasn't read her, she is witty and funny and quirky, and she is one of those girls that's easy to read. She doesn't bash conventional therapy. She just uplifts alternative therapy, because she was diagnosed with incurable cancer. Her cancer wasn't going away, so she didn't even get the option to try conventional, so she had to scurry and figure out, on a road that really not many people had traveled, what pieces do I do? Like, my doctor says, sorry, you're out of luck. And that's one I highly recommend. Anti-Cancer, A New Way of Life by David Servan Schreiber. He was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I want to say he lived 25 years longer than the doctor said, and he knows exactly why he died. He was diagnosed initially with brain cancer, did completely conventional. He's a doctor, so he just thought, well, of course, this is what I preach, I better practice it. And the cancer came back. And he thought, okay, well, I'm not going to try it again. He designed a really beautiful anti-cancer program for anyone. People that don't want to get cancer is your red flag. People that have cancer, people that are just recovering from cancer. It's very well written. He has your menu, he has the foods, you just put it on your fridge. It's okay. You know, instead of concentrating on what you can't eat, you just look at, okay, I can have this, 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 and this. I'm just going to go to the grocery store with blinders on, and I'm going to buy those things. He's a great read and very inspirational. He passed away just because he wanted the word out there so badly. He wasn't monitoring his red flags. He got really fatigued. He wasn't caring for his body in the way he should, and he made it known that, you know, this is how badly I want people to know about other options. And then the 4th book is You Did What? Saying No to Conventional Medicine by Holly and Patrick Quinn. This woman has my story. She was 27, pregnant, had HER2 positive, very aggressive breast cancer, and she decided that she would look at other options. She gained a ton of knowledge. She looked at every resource. I mean, her and her husband ran the gamut. Amidst doctors throwing the same panic of, you'll die, your baby won't have a mom, you know, they pull all of that. And she wrote a great book that is full of inspiration. She actually went through the foundation that I'm going through. And 9 years later, she's got 2 healthy babies, completely cancer-free, and she's on the road to pushing her message as well of, open up your mind, there's other options. There's things we can incorporate in conventional therapy. There's things you can do for just alternative therapy. You know, it's the one thing I started to realize with research is there's a lot of people out there that have done it. And the word isn't necessarily in front of our faces and on Google and on the newspaper because, you know, media isn't going to necessarily pay for flaunting that other options might work. But you start to realize there's a lot of people that have taken this leap of faith. And there's a lot of people that have done it, and they have shifted their perception, and they've shifted their body, and they've shocked their doctors, and they have become a whole person through the process. So you want to, I personally, and I can give you guys names, I have talked to so many individual cancer patients. It's not a number, it's not a statistic. You know, it's not my doctor saying, no, it doesn't work. I've talked to actual people that say, I did it. It works. Like, I am here because of these pieces. And I started to devour these because I was like, these are real people. Like, oh, what did you do and what did you do? And they all were a little different because as everyone started to realize, you got to piece different things together to fit what you need. So research is huge. Finding the right doctor, I kind of went into that early, so that's a quick topic. It's essential. I'm not going to say you don't need a doctor, and I'm not going to say you need a doctor. I'm going to say you are your best judge. If you're someone that just needs extra guidance, find a doctor that works. There are a lot of different doctors out there. There's doctors that are in other countries that will do it via email, and you get blood work done, and it's sent. I mean, there's a lot of ways to work with finding the right doctor, but you know when you find the right doctor, it fits. It sinks in with what he's saying and what you're saying, and so take the work, do all the research. I have a list of doctors through one of the books that I can give you if that's something you're interested in. Eating the best of the best. The one piece that every single cancer patient talks about in all their books and the people that I've talked to, everyone shifted their nutrition. It's not optional. This is one piece that doesn't waver with cancer. Your nutrition is going to make or break you. I was pretty healthy before, but in doing the research, you realize what cancer eats and what it dies from. Because if you cut out what cancer eats, it's a very simple process of elimination. If the cancer can't eat, the cancer dies. And the cancer has a somewhat strict diet. So it's not like it's eating the broccoli and the cabbage that you're eating. The cancer really sticks to certain pieces. It sticks to sugar, it sticks to refined grains, it sticks to a lot of red meat, it sticks to deep fried food. I imagine most of us already know, but hearing it of, if you're eating this, it feeds cancer. It's a simple, cut it out, and cancer cannot survive without that food source. I can't tell you how many times people have said, well, yeah, but if the doctors believe that, they would tell us. Like, that just can't be true, that it's as easy as altering your nutrition, whole food diet. In 6 to 10 years of medical school, doctors spend 2 hours on general nutrition and 0 on holistic or alternative medicine. So it's not that they are trying to hide it from you normally, it's that they don't know. What they've been told is cancer can only be cured if you give them chemotherapy, radiation, surgery, and hormone therapy. And so when you tell a doctor what about nutrition, it's like, well, no, that's not on my list. Like, I just told you your 4 options. I don't have any other, and nutrition, I would have heard. I imagine some of it is ignorance is bliss, because I don't know how you miss when so many diseases are cured, and you can heal your body with nutrition. So that's something that a lot of the books that I recommended go into. And every single stage 4, incurable, terminal, cancer that's metastasized, all these people that I've talked to, that they were done, an alter in their lifestyle and an alter in their food made an enormous difference, not only on your energy, but they could feel their body. They could feel their body getting stronger, and so you're building the immune system. So that's the one thing that's going to save you. Exercise. The best kind of exercise is exercise you're going to do. So don't pick something that sounds nice, but you're not going to do it. Running a 5K has a nice little ring to it, but it's not going to happen. So figure out what you love. I mean, everyone should have something. If you don't have something, explore it. Try different classes. Try to do some different things. I found that yoga was my cinch. It was my deal. It was where I was meant to be, because I had the calming relaxation while really strengthening and stretching my body. I do have to get the double stroller out and push it a couple times a week with 2 very healthily heavy babies in it, just to get your blood pumping. One of the best forms of exercise is jumping on a trampoline. So that brings us back to childhood, which is fun, but what happens is, it's called rebounding. Your body releases toxins through your blood and your lymph nodes. The blood is great. You've got your heart pumping, clears it out, it can do work. Your lymph nodes, a lot of times, get stuck. A lot of your toxins just get stuck in a lot of places, which is why a lot of times they find breast cancer in your lymph nodes. It's just all piling up in there. When you jump on a trampoline, the cells get squished, and it goes from weightlessness to the gravitational pull, and so every single cell in your body gets a release. And so about 20 minutes of jumping on a trampoline flushes out toxins, and it lets the nutrients go to all parts of your body. So you have this really nice flow of energy, and I mean, exercise makes you feel good. You don't feel like doing it in the beginning, but rarely, if you're doing something you love that feels right for the time period that you want, will it feel like, oh, so bummed I didn't watch Friends. You're like, okay, that was good. I guess I could do that again. Number 6, spiffing up my soul. Every alternative therapy talks about spirituality, and I have neglected my spiritual side for a long time. I come from a religious family who was wonderful, but I had some issues with it, so I just kind of shut the door altogether on spirituality. And it's scientifically proven that finding your God or your deity, I absolutely give you whatever you feel connected to. Nature, if you have a God in your life that you connect to, something bigger than yourself, something, Mother Earth, whatever it is, I urge you to connect to it. You get this release. You get something outside of yourself that can kind of take the stress and the burden a little bit. And if you don't have something in your life, I suggest just exploring it. It can be anything. I have a friend who picked the Star Wars trilogy. It's whatever connects you to something bigger than yourself. That one's a little bit iffy. Number 7, cleaning out the skeletons in the closet. Cancer normally takes 5 to 10 years to grow, and a lot of research has gone into those 5 to 10 years. Okay, well, where did it start? Maybe we can hone in on that. And more often than not, a shocking number come from a traumatic incident that happened in your life. Divorce, starting a business. It could be anything that registered stress in your body that could have possibly kept it there. And what they see is that stress, your body, give you a little science lesson, your body releases fight or flight response. When you're stressed, your body releases, and you feel the energy of, like the pit in your stomach and this anxiety, and you feel a physical manifestation of the stress, of the anxiety, of the anger, of whatever it is. That's your fight or flight. And back in caveman days, It was because you needed to be ready to run for your life. And so you would burn that off and your body would go back to balance. Well, we're not in any physical danger when we go through a divorce or when we start a new job, or, but that energy releases and then it has to go somewhere, so it goes to your lymph nodes. And it releases and it goes to your lymph nodes. And this long-term stress starts to pack on over and over to the point, and I think my cancer was stress-induced. In starting to look at, okay, I ate pretty healthy, I exercised, I had my babies when I was supposed to. Oh, my stress was super off. To the point where I thought it was normal. No, it's good. Like, I have a super quick temper. Like, it's normal. Everyone does this. Like, road rage is at an all-time high the second I get in the car. So you want to start looking at what's happened in your life. Is there something that's causing you stress now? Is there something that caused you stress 5 to 10 years ago? Be honest with yourself. There might not be. I mean, it's not for everyone. Everyone's cancer comes from a different place, but start to just break down the pieces of, okay, and if you find something like, yeah, I did get a divorce. I lost my house. I lost a parent. I was caring for an aging parent. Start to break down the feelings of that. Something that I use that sounds super hippie, but it really works, is EFT. It's emotional freedom technique, and you talk about these really stressful situations and you tap on certain meridians. It's like acupressure. And what you're telling your body as you bring up a lot of this anxiety, because they say you actually want to get that feeling. What do bills bring that up? What brings it up? You bring up this feeling as you're tapping these certain points, and what you're physically telling your body is, it's okay. It's okay. Everything's fine. And you realize after a while, if you practice this, that your body's response isn't the same. And with the fight or flight, it shuts down your creative problem solving part of your brain. So when this happens, when you get diagnosed with cancer, when you can't, you freeze. Your brain stops thinking. And you start to work with that of, okay, so something will come up because life happens, stuff comes up. How can I deal with this calmly and effectively? How can I keep my mind alert and not have that immediate response happen? So that's something, looking in your past can really help break down maybe some of the pieces of where this started to accumulate and grew into cancer. Number 8, finding my groupies. Cancer evokes emotions in almost everyone, and it's really hard to deal with. And finding that support team or that support person that gets you, that believes in you, that you can go to and they just cheer you on. You can bring them to doctor's appointments. You can bring them to family events where family isn't quite believing, and they can kind of be your bodyguard. And if you don't have anyone that believes in what you're doing, they even have alternative therapy coaches, people that have been through the ringer. They get it. They are on it. They can be your rent-a-friend for the time being. Number 9, meditate on meditation. I couldn't figure out meditation for a really long time. It's a nice break for 15 minutes, and I calm my mind, and I try not to think, I got it. But I'm not sure after that what I'm supposed to do. Like, I can't meditate all day and have that calm. And it honestly was not until this last month that I stopped meditating for a purpose of like, okay, I'm supposed to get something, maybe I'll get enlightened and I'll wait for the light bulb, and I kept waiting and okay, well maybe, I'm doing it wrong. And meditation in itself is not the point. The point is what you're doing is you quiet your mind, you tune everything out, and you give yourself 15 minutes of calm. You count your breath, you do whatever it takes to not listen to all of that stuff that's going on in your head. And you work this muscle long enough, you start to realize that when your 2-year-old is having a tantrum in Target, you can use this muscle that you've acquired of like, okay, breathe deep, breathe calm, like just start to process what's happening, I can deal with this. It's part of the releasing the stress, but it's not even getting to the releasing stress, it's not getting stressed. So in meditation, it starts to work that mind muscle to remember, you can be calm, remember you did that, like just breathe, and it's a necessary piece, I think, for human beings in life. Number 10, what do you believe? Cancer is survivable, regardless of the stage or type. In all the research I've done and all the people that have healed themselves from incredible stories of, you know, there's no hope and you'll be on your deathbed and all of these pieces, the one thing I've noticed is in people talking, the people that believed they would live and believed they would be healthy are the people that lived and were healthy. And the people that believe their doctor who said you're going to die, they died. And so you've got to really listen to that voice inside of you, because a lot of us have kind of a negative Nancy voice that just kind of says, no, you can't do it, you know, it sounds too good to be true. It's a constant, and you don't really notice it, but it's always there. You have to start reworking that of you are strong and you are wonderful, and you write it on, you know, sticky notes and put it all over your house, whatever it takes. Read positive books. Just start to include all of this love into what you're doing, and your body will believe what you're telling it. So if you're saying, I am healthy and I am whole, your body's going to start working towards, okay, well, we're going there. If you're saying, I'm sick and I'm weak and I can't do this, okay, well, let's go there. So you get to dictate the start of the path with a lot of these other pieces in line of where are you going to go. Do it daily. A lot of the pieces seem overwhelming, and you've got to pick what works for you and your lifestyle, and it's again personal, but you've got to do it daily. You don't get to, I was good yesterday, so I'm going to do a cheeseburger today. These are lifestyle changes that you make because you want to live. These are pieces that you incorporate into your daily life because you are committed 100% to your health. And you are wonderfully responsible for this body. It can seem taxing and heavy, but this is a gift. We get this body, and we need to nurture and take care of it. And so what you do on a daily basis, we're not perfect and we will fall off the wagon, but be nice and calm to yourself, but really attempt to do good to your body every day. And the last one is self-love above all else. Love attracts goodness. And every single person deserves so much love and a pat on the back, and every one of us is, regardless of what we think other people are going through, every one of us has gone through a really difficult time and is dealing with a lot of internal demons. And loving yourself is above all something that all of us need. And that translates into the exercise and the good sleep and the decisions you make and listening to your body. There is no doctor that can tell you your body better than you. You are the owner of this body, and the self-love and the acceptance of what's going on, because cancer is there. And so that's one of those, okay, well, once you diminish that, let's figure out, and with love and with nutrition, with exercise and meditation, what seems feasible for you, you just start to incorporate daily into your life. So I want to close with, this is a Chris Carr book that I really like, and I want to read her very last page. It was a perfect end to this. It's called Heal versus Cure. How do we define healthy? It's pretty safe to say that we no longer live in a culture where the majority of its people are disease-free. I know a lot of truly healthy people who live with cancer. Some of these people are far healthier than the average citizen. Just because an area of your body is struggling doesn't mean the entire system is broken. Everyone wants the journey to be over, to get their lives back. Well, if you're deeply committed to making life changes, then what life are you going back to? You've outgrown that old way. Remission, cure, those are wonderfully tricky words that can get us in a lot of trouble if we're living solely to hear them. I don't think of my tumors as a deadly invader that must get the hell out of Dodge. I see them as a part of me that has wandered off, is confused, needs some loving, and is ready for help. It took me a long time to get to cancer, not that I created it, and healing will take an equal load of soul-maturing patience. When you embrace this lifestyle, you may expect instant changes, better scans, tumors to dissolve, and a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade to be thrown in your honor. I did. Guess what? All of those wonderful things may happen. If they do, mazel tov. On the flip side, you may not see one change in the cancer. It may even grow. Naturally, this will be discouraging. But let me remind you once again of the bigger picture in this brilliant health mosaic. You will see other ailments dissolve. You will feel empowered. You will feel like you're stepping up to the green plate of life. You will watch your relationships change. You will trim the fat and cut the dead weight. You will get closer to your God and begin to see that you have a direct line for a chat any old time, and you will heal. You may not be cured, but you will heal. Healing, true healing, is a remembering. We get out of our way and let love in. We move, acknowledge, accept, revolt. We fill our bodies with fuel, physical, mental, and spiritual, needed to shake off the darkness. No disease can thrive when we are at ease. So my goal is to carve that path, create my owner's manual, and do unto others as I would want done to me. There is only one way to really do it: dismantle the present culture. Nothing is guaranteed. If I can guarantee that juice and a positive attitude would cure you, I'd be a zillionaire. I can't. What I can promise is that you will grow and create peace. Quality is far more important than quantity. When I stopped focusing on being cured, I started healing and living in a ginormous way. Sometimes we'll move like crabs in life and in cancer. Crabs get to the joint, but they skitter sideways and backwards to do it. Your setbacks are part of the process. Hard to imagine, but true. Cancer really doesn't want to kill you. After all, you're the host. If it screws up this bash, who else is going to buy the cake? There is a time and a season for healing. Don't compare yourself to others. Anxiety, stress, and frustration do not cure cancer. Trust and believe that your healing has begun in a big way. Take your mind off the cure and raise the bar on your standard of living. If you have doubts, remember to act as if. Sometimes we need to listen more than we speak because the signs are all around us. And that is all I have.
I don't know about you, but I learned a lot. That's phenomenal talk. We're part of the Don't Worry, Be Happy Foundation, and we think we know a lot about cancer because we deal with it every day, but that was beyond anything I could possibly imagine to learn. Thank you very, very much.
See if anybody
And
has
as,
questions.
I'm sorry?
See if anybody has
Oh yeah, do you have any questions? Yes.
I have a question about the statistics.
Go ahead, sir.
Well, when you mentioned them, I was completely floored by the success rate of chemotherapy, and I was wondering if you received that information from your conventional doctors, and if you got maybe a different story from them,
No.
or if their statistics were
They
different.
don't openly offer statistics. They give you kind of a general overview of, this is what we've gotten and this is going to be great, and they kind of give you this glossed over version. You've got to look at the statistics in actual numbers because what they've done is early detection has increased. So it looks as if people are living longer. So it looks as if, great, this therapy's working, but what they're finding is people are dying after the 5 years and it's not noted. So the doctors will give you a really big runaround, but it's medical journal based. It's British Medical Journal, and I have it. So no, the doctors absolutely don't, because why would they? And I honestly hope they don't know that statistic. I hope that they are unaware that it's 2.1% because they're in the business of dealing a really big poison that is not doing much. So no, they don't. And they get really defensive if you bring it up.
But the doctors have a huge compensation out of the chemo.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, my chemo was $12,000 around. The statistic that I told Jim was that in cancer therapy, 75% of an oncologist's salary is from the therapies that we're doing. The chemo and the radiation. And
It should be a crime against humanity. It is.
Yeah. When you break down the numbers, it's alarming. And what's sad is that they're not open to that. Maybe we need to add some things to it. I'm not saying that conventional therapy can't work, because I'm sure it can, but I think that in order to support this body that's going to save you, you need to be
You need
working
to
with.
support the immune system.
Yeah, yeah. So you're fighting a body that needs to save you. So there's got to be, you know, it's not, okay, well, let's hope you win over the chemo. You know, I think there's got to be a few more pieces in play there.
Because, you know, the logic thing is, you have cancer because the body is toxic. Why putting more toxin in the body?
Right, yeah.
That's not the right way.
Yeah,
Something's
yeah,
not wrong.
exactly. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
You said something about eating like an alkaline diet. Like what exactly would that be? Like what would you eat?
The alkaline diet is, and I know there was a talk a couple weeks ago here, the alkaline diet is, cancer can't survive in an alkaline, oxygenated body. So the alkaline diet is a whole foods, lots of raw fruits and vegetables, and more vegetables actually, and lemon, and I mean, there's a whole diet outlined actually in the anti-cancer book that shows this diet, cancer doesn't survive. Like, it doesn't have anything to eat. Now, you've got to be mindful that, you know, stress, cancer could be eating your stress. If you have enough stress for eating great, well, that's, you know, you've got to be dealing with all pieces. But the diet is number one. So the alkaline diet is the things we all know, you know, whole foods and
Leafy
as close
vegetables,
to its original.
Number one. And sprouts.
Mm-hmm.
As a pitch, we do have alkaline products over here that
There
you
we
can take a
go.
look at. We have brochures that will help you with it.
What?
What's the name of the clinic?
Mid-dairy.
And also you have Hippocrates.
Oh,
That's where she went, that lady with that book, Crazy Sexy Cancer. She reversed her cancer at Hippocrates Health Institute.
Oh yeah. I did see that. The Hippocrates. Yeah. There's a lot of ways. You know, you can go somewhere, you can read a book. I mean, there's so many pieces that you can utilize.
The tamoxifen that the information you had, can you tell Sherry?
Yeah. In doing my research, for my specific cancer, my doctor said, you know, tamoxifen is an absolute must. And in researching it, I found that for my specific cancer, for premenopausal body, it did absolutely nothing. Like the success rate, this is ugly, and I hope I get the numbers right. I'm off by maybe 0.5%. But in doing tamoxifen for 5 years, you increase your chance only 1.6% for not having a cancer reoccurrence, because you open your body up and your immune system up so brutally with this hormone therapy that after the 5 years, your body can't fight anything off. And if you haven't dealt with the root of cancer, it so often comes back. So, and in not doing a cancer, you know, it's like, whatever. It's just, the numbers are crazy. But my doctor, my current doctor, said that tamoxifen is modeled after flaxseed. They saw the components of flaxseed did such an incredible job at hormone therapy that they synthesized it and they came up with tamoxifen. So 4 tablespoons of flaxseed oil, or a flaxseed, fresh ground flaxseed, is the exact equivalent of doing tamoxifen.
But the tamoxifen side effects are pretty.
Well, yeah, and the tamoxifen side effects are, you know, yeah. I mean, the list is ridiculous. Much less, I mean, you know, you could be trading in for another cancer, you know, uterine cancer, and yeah. So, and it's just extremely hard on your body. And so then you go to the quality of life of, okay, even if this were to technically save me, is this the life that I'm wanting to live? So knowing that there's other options out there that work with your body instead of against your body made a lot of sense to me. So I'd rather bank on the flaxseed. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.